The world called her a lost pilot. No name, no grave, no record. But one dark night, over the ocean, she stood up from her seat and took control of a falling plane. She saved 267 lives. And when the F-22s found her, they called her by one name: Ghost. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The story starts on a normal flight. It was a big passenger plane flying over the Atlantic Ocean at night. Inside, there were 267 people. Families were sleeping. Children were watching movies. A few people were reading books. Nobody on that plane knew that one of the passengers, a quiet woman sitting alone, would soon become the only reason they all lived to see morning. A flight attendant named Grace had been working on planes for many years. She had seen storms, sick passengers, and small emergencies. She thought she had already seen everything a flight could throw at her. But that night, everything changed. The plane hit sudden hard turbulence. It shook so much that bags fell from the top shelves. Cups spilled. Children cried. Then, something worse happened. The captain, who had been flying for more than 20 years, suddenly felt very sick. His heart was in trouble. The co-pilot tried to help him, but during the shaking, he hit his head hard on the control panel and fell unconscious. For a few minutes, nobody was flying the plane. It was flying only on autopilot, alone in the dark sky, with warning lights turning on one by one in the empty cockpit. Grace was scared, but she knew she had to do something. She walked through the plane, looking at every face, hoping someone could help. Most passengers looked confused or afraid. But in seat 9A, there was a woman who looked completely calm. She had short, dark hair, simple clothes, and a paperback book in her hand. She had not asked for anything the whole flight. She had not said a single loud word. Her ticket had a strange, plain name on it: M. Calloway. Grace bent down and spoke quietly so others would not panic. She said, "I need your help. Both pilots are down. Nobody is flying this plane. I don't know what to do." The woman looked up. Her eyes were calm, almost too calm for the situation. She closed her book slowly and placed it in the seat pocket. Then she stood up, not in a hurry, but like someone who already knew exactly what she had to do. She said only 4 words: "Take me to the cockpit." Her voice was steady, not shaking at all. It was not the voice of someone trying to look brave. It was the voice of someone who was truly, deeply calm inside. As she walked toward the front of the plane, something strange happened. Nobody said a word, but people noticed her. Sleeping children woke up without knowing why. A man watching a movie paused it without thinking. It felt like the whole plane could sense that something important was happening. When they reached the cockpit, the situation was serious. The captain was pale and breathing slowly. The co-pilot had blood near his head and was not responding. Warning lights covered the whole panel, red, yellow, and orange, all blinking together. The autopilot was showing a fault, and if nobody took control soon, the plane could become dangerous within minutes. The woman, who Grace still only knew as M. Calloway, moved the co-pilot gently to make sure he could breathe safely. Then she sat down in the empty pilot's seat, put on the headset, and looked at the instrument panel. For 4 full seconds, she did not move at all. She just studied everything in front of her. Grace would later say that those 4 seconds felt like the longest and scariest moment of the entire night, even worse than finding out both pilots were down. Then her hands started moving. She turned off the warning sounds one by one, in the correct order, calm and controlled. She checked the fuel. She checked the pressure systems. She found the reason for the autopilot fault and switched to manual control smoothly, like she had done this many times before in real danger, not just in training. The shaking plane became steady. The nose lifted gently into a safe position. It felt, strangely, like the plane finally relaxed, because someone who understood it was now in control. She picked up the radio and spoke in a flat, clear voice, with no fear in it at all. "This is Flight 771. Both pilots are down. I am taking control of the aircraft, requesting emergency landing instructions and nearest safe runway. 267 people on board. The flight controllers on the ground were surprised, but they moved fast. They asked who was flying the plane. She answered simply, "I am a qualified pilot. Please give me the weather and runway details. I will explain everything once these people are safe on the ground." They agreed to guide her to a large airbase with a long runway and full emergency service. She calmly changed direction, began a slow and controlled descent, and kept talking to the ground team with short, clear, useful sentences. No wasted words, no panic, just information. Inside the plane, passengers slowly understood that something serious had happened, but the calm in the crew's faces helped keep everyone from panicking completely. A mother held her daughter close. An old man sat quietly with his eyes closed, praying. A group of college students recorded videos on their phones, not fully understanding what they were filming. About 40 minutes later, a new voice joined the radio. It was a military channel. 2 fighter jets, F-22 Raptors, had been sent to fly beside the plane, following normal safety rules for unknown pilots flying in that area. The young pilot flying one of the jets asked her to confirm her name for the official record. There was a short pause in the cockpit. She knew that once she said her real name, her secret life would end forever. But she also knew there was no other choice. She pressed the radio button and said clearly, "This is Captain Mara Calloway, former call sign, Ghost." The radio went silent for a moment. Anyone who had spent time in military flying knew that name. It was a legendary name, whispered in flying schools and pilot rooms for years. It belonged to someone known as one of the best pilots of her generation, someone who had disappeared 4 years earlier during a secret mission that no official report ever fully explained. She was believed to be dead. But she was very much alive, sitting in the cockpit of a passenger plane, saving 267 lives. The young pilot's voice came back through the radio, full of respect. "Ghost, ma'am, it's an honor to fly next to you tonight." Mara Calloway had grown up wanting to fly since she was a small child. She joined the military very young and quickly became known for her skill and calm mind under pressure. She earned the name Ghost because she could fly through dangerous places without ever being caught by enemy radar, and because she completed dangerous missions so quietly that almost no record was ever left behind. 4 years before this flight, she had been on a secret rescue mission when her aircraft was damaged badly. To protect the mission and other people's safety, she could not return through normal channels. She disappeared completely. She was told to stay hidden for the safety of important operations. She agreed, because to her, doing the right thing always mattered more than being remembered.
For 4 years, she lived quietly. She paid for things with cash. She avoided using her real name. She sat in window seats of commercial flights, secretly watching pilots work through the open cockpit door, missing the sky that used to be hers.
And then, on this ordinary night, everything changed again. She landed the huge passenger plane with careful, smooth control, making small corrections in the final moments before touchdown. The wheels touched the runway firmly and safely. The engines slowed the plane down until it finally came to a full stop. The whole cabin burst into tears, laughter, and clapping all at once. It was the sound of 267 people realizing they were alive, safe, and going home to the people they loved. Outside, ambulances and emergency teams rushed to help the captain and co-pilot, who were both expected to recover fully. Passengers walked down the stairs onto the runway in shock, slowly understanding just how close they had come to disaster. At the bottom of the stairs, Mara Calloway stopped and looked back at the plane one last time. Then she looked up as the 2 F-22 jets landed nearby. The young pilots removed their helmets, walked toward her, and without anyone telling them to, stood straight and saluted her with full respect. She returned the salute calmly, the same way she had done everything else that night, with quiet confidence and no need for praise. One of the pilots asked her, "Ma'am, what happens to you now?" She thought for a moment and said simply, "That's a question for rooms I haven't walked into yet." By morning, the whole world knew the story. News channels showed videos of the 2 fighter jets flying beside the passenger plane in the dark sky. People everywhere were amazed by the story of a woman who was legally dead for 4 years, yet saved hundreds of lives without hesitation. She never asked for medals. She never gave long interviews. She simply did what needed to be done, the same way she always had.
Some people spend their whole lives trying to be famous. Mara Calloway spent 4 years trying to disappear completely. But when 267 lives depended on her, she stood up without any doubt, without asking what it would cost her.
That is why they called her Ghost, not because she was invisible, but because she always appeared exactly when people needed her the most, and she always finished what she started.
If this story touched you, share it with someone tonight. Some stories deserve to reach more people than just the ones lucky enough to find them first.